Welcome back to Hardball. Breaking news late today. Monica Goodling, the top aide to Attorney General Alberto Gonzales, is resigning today. She's the one whose lawyers have said will take the fifth if she's called to testify about the firing of those 8 U.S. attorneys. Let's bring in the Hardballers. Mark Green is with Air America Radio and the New Democracy Project. He's the author of the book, Losing Our Democracy, and Terry Jeffries, editor of Human Events magazine. Mark, you first. I mean, this is like a virgin forest tonight from your side of the world politically. What did you make of Vice President Dick Cheney going after, let's take a look at, by the way, we've got Vice President Cheney here going after Nancy Pelosi's visit to Damascus. We don't have that yet. We will have that. Let me ask you about this latest resignation then at the Attorney General's office in the Justice Department. Monica Goodling has walked. She's going to take the fifth, but she's now going to take it as a private citizen.
The cover-up continues, and the ship of state is sinking, Chris. Look, there's a constitutional basis, of course, to the Fifth Amendment. You don't want to encourage governments to coerce citizens to self-incriminate. But the Congress, the public, the press can't imprison anybody, but we can draw the reasonable inference. She took the fifth because she can't tell the truth under oath, and now she's left, like Scooter Libby left before the indictment and conviction, because you can't fire the owner. So when a team loses 20 in a row, maybe you fire the manager, maybe you fire the GM. You can't fire Bush and Cheney under the Constitution except for impeachment. And so this is a cover-up because until now, of course, new presidents, as you have discussed so often, can hire new U.S. attorneys to replace all those who served under a different president. Not once in the last 30 years has a U.S. attorney been replaced other than for cause. So this is a scandal they're trying to cover up. That's the only logical conclusion. You don't have to defend Monica Goodling. Do you want to just move on to the next topic? I mean, let's move on to the more exciting. Here's Vice President Cheney, as I promised. You can pick up on this, speaking about Nancy Pelosi's trip to Damascus.
I'm obviously disappointed. I think it is, in fact, bad behavior on her part. I wish she hadn't done it, but she is the Speaker of the House, and fortunately, I think the various parties involved recognize she doesn't speak for the United States in those circumstances. She doesn't represent the administration. The President's the one who conducts foreign policy, not the Speaker of the House.
There you go.
Well, Chris, I don't have a problem with
bad behavior.
Well, the way she behaved in Damascus was very bad. I don't have a problem per se with members of Congress going to Damascus.
Well, Republicans went last week.
Well, her problem was she went over there. Number one, she seemed to be conducting a foreign policy separate from the policy of the United States, which is in fact headed by the Commander-in-Chief. But secondly, she really seemed to be sucking up to Bashar al-Assad. I would suggest that she read the Mellis Commission report, which was produced by the United Nations, which investigated the assassination of former Lebanese Prime Minister Rafik Hariri, in which, Chris, there's repeated testimony from people saying that Assad called Hariri to Damascus, told him he was going to break Lebanon over his head if he didn't assent to keeping Emil Lahoud, the president of Lebanon, in power. There's, I believe, no doubt that that regime was involved in the assassination of that Lebanese prime minister, and she went over and groveled at that guy's feet. That is her problem.
Mark Green.
Groveling is a verb you made up. Were Jim Baker and Lee Hamilton groveling when they said, look, we negotiate not with our friends, but we have to negotiate with our enemies, like Syria, for example. And so we have two branches of government that are technically co-equal. And so she's the head of one branch of government going to the Middle East. Also, there's another argument for her to go. We're in an extraordinary emergency, actually. We've never seen a president like Bush and Cheney. The majority of America, of Iraq, of the Baker-Hamilton Commission want us out. His response? More troops. Since they have mismanaged and lied about this war, it is frankly not desirable. It is essential that the head of the other branch of government go to figure out what's happening. She said nothing inconsistent with American policy, as the Republicans who went didn't.
Let me say this. Look,
what did she say, by the way, in terms of a difference with the U.S. policy?
First of all, she suggested that Israel is ready to negotiate with this guy, which Prime Minister Olmert made clear they absolutely were not.
We don't know what Olmert said to her, though. You and I don't know what Olmert said to her.
All right, well, so someone said,
I know what Olmert said. I know what she said. There's two different arguments.
You think that she's telling the truth and he's not?
I'm saying it's somewhere in the middle, and you know that's how politics works.
He was
schmoozing with her. He probably did say, go over there, and if you can get something started, good luck to you. I'm sure that's what he said. What else is he going to say
they're
to
going to
her?
give back. They're going to give back the Golan Heights to Bashar Assad. No, but here, look. She absolutely.
Well, eventually, that is going to be the deal. What are you talking about? You think there's some other deal between Syria and Israel than that?
That deal is not going to happen.
Ever?
It is not going to happen. Not to that regime that's in power right now. It is not going to happen. But yes, she definitely has a different policy. Listen, I don't think it's wrong for the United States to try and deal with the Syrian regime and Bashar Assad, especially if they can try and get him out of his alliance with Iran. He is key to Iran's involvement in Lebanon and the problems they caused in Lebanon last summer. If he could be separated out and brought back into the Arab bloc and essentially out of the Shiite revolutionary bloc, that would be a good thing for the United States. But the appeasement policy that Nancy Pelosi gave voice to in Damascus this week is not the right way to go.
Last thing, Chris, I admire but I don't envy you. You have to ask a question about, gee, the vice president said this, as if that is any reality. This guy is technically the vice president, but he's the vice president of AEI, a few military bases, and the Rush Limbaugh show. Since nothing he has said before, during, or after this war has been true, whatever he says about Nancy Pelosi is frankly untruthful and irrelevant. She's a constitutionally mandated Speaker of the House. She should go
well,
for
he's also, whether you like it or not, he's also our constitutionally elected Vice President
he says it has no reality.
And that's a fact. Well, the reality is he is Vice President Cheney, and I do have to quote him, and I have to respect his office.
I understand why.
And if he says something, we got to listen to it because he has the ear of the president, and we know that. Anyway, thank you, Mark Green. Thank you, Terry Jeffrey.